Okay, so hello friends to the another lecture on construction, economics and finance. And in this lecture series, now today we will see the types of foreign direct investment in infrastructure development in India. We'll see FDI and FII, okay, foreign investment in institute. So we'll compare that. And in the entire lecture series, we have seen that how this construction industry is contributing in the economy of the nation, GDP, and all the things. How it has been beneficial and how it has been contributed. So today our topic is types of foreign direct investment in infrastructure development of India. Okay. So as before starting, I would like to introduce myself. I am Professor Amay Khedikar, working in the Department of Civil Engineering at Tulsi Ramji Gaikwad Patil College of Engineering and Technology, Nagpur. So we'll begin up with these points. Okay. So today we will see in the entire lecture what is foreign investment, types of foreign investment, then significance of foreign investment, limitations of foreign investment, factors affecting foreign investment, growth of foreign investment. So all these aspects we'll cover in the today's lecture. Okay. Now, as you heard the name foreign investment, okay, you might be lot of thoughts might be bubbling in your mind, coming in your mind, but basically it is all about the country international investment where America is investing in India as far as Western is concerned or other technology is concerned. This is the international kind of currency being exchanged and invested for some domestic goods or international product services or any kind of manufacturing unit, sometimes construction also. Okay, so the foreign investment is divided in two parts, that is direct investment, that is FDI, foreign direct investment, and portfolio investment, that is PFPI, that is FPI. Again, the direct investment is again categorized into three parts: wholly owned subsidiary, joint venture, and acquisitionary. Okay, and the portfolio investment, that is foreign portfolio investment FPI, is again divided into two parts: investment by FII, that is foreign investment in institutes, and investment in GRDs, ADRs, and FCCBS. Okay, so this is the bifurcation of the foreign investment mainly in two parts, that is direct investment FDI and portfolio investment, that is the FPI. Okay, so as far as the significance of foreign investment is there, so it is expansion. It creates expansion in the employment, results in the consumer benefits. Also, it has impact on technology as a technological improvement is there. The cultural improvement, and import export also. It results finally in the growth of the economy. Government has a lot of benefits, competition, healthy competition, managerial revolution, global exposure, and global relationship. So these all are the aspects which are very important and having significant benefits in the foreign by the foreign investment. Okay. So as far as limitation are concerned, so work on the high profit area rather than the priority sector. It always work on where the profit margin is more, rather what is the need and what is the priority. Technological advancement, evading in nature, and which is specifically and very indeed that the unfavorable effect towards the balance of payment. That is a very drawback of this foreign investment. Okay. In continuation, interferes in the national policies, unfair and unethical trade practices, okay, bulldozing nature towards nation market, and unfavorable for the country's economy. That are the some limitations. Okay. Now, there are some factors which are directly and indirectly affecting the foreign investment, such as rate of interest, speculation, profitability, cost of production, economic condition, government policies, and political policies. Last but not least, very important, political policies. These are the factors which are directly affected by the foreign direct investments. As for you, as in the entire chart, just I want to show it to you that the see, as far as the growth of the foreign investment, you can see I have highlighted the China and India. Okay, China is the number one country, first country which is having more, okay, foreign investment, and second one is India. Okay, you can see the comparison how much China is ahead of us. You can see that. Okay, Just take the numbers. Next. Now we'll see the foreign direct investment FDI in India. In further slides, we will see that what is it, meaning of FDI, history of FDI in India, types of FDI, significance of FDI, and factors affecting. Now specifically we will see conditions according to India in India and regulations for FDI formation. Okay, so we will see in the coming lecture. Stay tuned. Don't leave it. Okay, so foreign direct investment in India. So it has diversification of FDI in India. It has a culture of FDI in India, growth, advantages, limitation, impact, and expert reviews that we will see. So its meaning first. So basically, FDI stands for foreign direct investment, a component of country's national financial accounts. Foreign direct investment is investment of foreign assets into domestic structures, equipments, and organizations. It does not include foreign investment into the stock market. Okay. FDI is thought to be more useful to a country than investment in the equity of its companies because equity investments are potentially hot money, which can leave at the first sign of trouble, whereas FDI is durable and generally useful whether things go well or badly. Okay. FDI means investment by a non-residential entity person resident outside India in the capital of an Indian company under Schedule 1 of Foreign Exchange Management, transfer or issue of security by a person resident outside India. So it is basically the criteria is investment through a non-Indian or an Indian which is not resident of India. Okay, that is the criteria. So history. In 1997, FDI up to 100% allowed under the automatic route in cash or carry wholesale. In 2006, FDI up to 51% allowed with prior government approval in single brand retail. Again, it modified in 2008. Government mulled over the idea of allowing 100% FDI in single brand retail and 50% in multi-brand retail. And 2011, government allowed 51% of FDI in multi-brand retail and 100% FDI in single brand retail. This is the history and the modifications I've done over the period of time. Then types. The direct foreign investment and indirect foreign investment. See, investment in India companies can be made both by non-residential as well as residential Indian entities. Any non-residential investment of an Indian company is direct foreign investment. Investment by resident Indian entities could again comprise of both resident and non-resident investment. Thus, such an Indian company would have direct foreign investment if the Indian investing company has foreign investment in it. The indirect investment can also be a cascading investment, that is through multi-layered structure. So in direct investment, directly a non-residential investment or Indian company, okay, but in indirectly it is basically an investment by resident Indian entities could again comprise of both resident as well as the non-resident investment. Significance. Okay, so now basically already we have seen significant slide, but that was global. Okay, now specifically we are considering for Indian conditions. So financial transfer in foreign exchange, that is the first significance. Production of technology, management skills, physical resources like machinery, tools, equipments, institutional systems, then information and database, worldwide contacts are developed, research and develop get promotion, and the support or training resources are made available, and trade channels are being available. This is the significance of FDI. And background. Okay. Previously, slow rate of growth been observed, bureaucratic things, protected and slow, small consumer markets, weak infrastructure, and today, due to the FDI, investment made by foreign countries, strong microeconomic fundamentals, encouraging foreign investment, outsourcing destinations, growing consumption, and impetus on infrastructure development. Okay, so we have even witnessed and seen the growing consumerism. Okay, rather previously it was the slow rate of growth, but now it is encouraging. It is encouraging to see. Which are now in the continuation, which factor affect in India, that is stable democratic environment over last 60 years of independence. Okay, large size of the economy, particularly the large and growing middle class, open door policy towards FDI, abundance of natural resources, diversified industrial sectors, large and growing market, cost effective and skilled labors. So these are the factors which are directly affecting the FDI to come to India. In continuation, world-class scientific, technical, and managerial manpower, which is not in India basically, cheap and abundant availability of technical manpower at various level of skills, large English-speaking population. We do have, but we are expecting a large English and stable political system, which is also not since a decade. Well-established legal system with independent judiciary. Okay, that is also the problem. Then well-developed accountancy, legal, actuarial, and consultancy professions, which are lagging. Emerging trends toward the deregulation and privatization and globalization. Large network of banking institution. Now we are progressing in that. Even we are promoting the digital currency and digitization in terms of banking. Liberal policy towards technology and capital goods imports. Then gradual reduction in barriers to trade and high level of compliance toward the policies of multilateral economic institutions like WTO, IMF, and World Bank. Continuous size of foreign exchange reserves and current account convertibility, price stability, declining structures of interest rates in tune with global trends, good international economical and political relations, strong advertising media, large base of existing MNCs in number of industrial segments. We are actually not having a large base of the multinational companies in India. Okay. Now, after seeing the affection, what factors are affecting, there are too many factors we have discussed, we have seen individually. Now, there are some regulations made in India for the FDI formation, that is automatic approval by Reserve Bank of India. The Reserve Bank of India accords automatic approval within a period of 2 weeks, subjected to compliance of norms, to all proposal and permits for an equity up to 24, 50, and 51%, 74 up to 100 is allowed depending on the category of industries and the sectorial caps applicable. Okay, so it is subjected to compliance of norms. The list are comprehensive and cover most industries of interest to foreign companies. Investment in high priority industries or for trading companies primarily engaged in exporting are given almost automatic approval by the RBI. Okay, these are some automatic approval by RBI. And the FIPB rule processing of non-automatic approval cases. FIPB stands for Foreign Investment Promotion Board. Foreign Investment Promotion Board, which approves all other cases where the parameters of automatic approvals are not met. The normal processing times is of 4 to 6 weeks. Its approach is liberal for all sectors and all types of proposal, and rejections are few. It is not necessary for foreign investors to have local partners even when the foreign investor wishes to hold less than the entire equity of the company. The portion of the equity not proposed to be held by the foreign investor and can be offered to the public. Okay, basically the foreign investment of promotion board which approves all the other cases whereas the parameters of automatic approval are not met. It's normally take 4 to 6 weeks for the entire process. Okay, and its approach is liberal for all sector and all types of proposal. Okay, and as far as rejections are concerned, it is very few. You can see this cycle. Okay, then foreign investors come to the FIPB, followed by the industry, which gone through CCEA, then followed by ministry, and this, if the loop completed, then SIA. If not, then again goes back to the foreign investment, and finally Indian affiliated, followed by RBI, and then issue of shares and additional about FDI receives the share issue. This is the complete cycle, which is followed by the foreign investor in India. Okay, foreign investor for then FIPB, which is the body which approves generally in 4 to 6 weeks. Then industry, from industry, then CCEA, ministry, and CCFI. Then it goes to SIA. If it's not well, then revert back to the again to the same country and the Indian affiliate. Okay, and finally submitted to RBI. India's hottest FDI destinations. Again, Maharashtra. It receives a lion's share of FDI, US 2.43 billion, and around 11,000 crores, which is 30% of the total FDI inflows to the country. Okay, in Maharashtra. Okay, in National Capital Region, NCR received US 1.85 billion, mean almost 8,476 crores in FDI during the period. The region accounted for 20% of total FDI. Third, West Bengal, Sikkim, Andaman and Nicobar, Iceland. These states attracted the third highest FDI inflow rate, which is almost US 1.416 billion. That is 6,050 crores. In Karnataka, which is 936 million US dollar, means almost 4,333 crores. And finally, Punjab, Haryana, Himachal Pradesh, in almost 904 million US dollar, means almost 4,141 crores. So in this, Maharashtra is at number one, in which the 35% of total FBI, which is captured by Maharashtra in the current country. Then the 20% the National Capital Region. And then West Bengal, Sikkim, Andaman and Nicobar Island, followed by Karnataka, Punjab, Haryana, Himachal and Himachal Pradesh. Okay, that is. Now existing, if you can see some existing foreign Indian partnership in India, that is in 2003 Metro, okay, wholly owned by Metro Cash and Carry, which having 8 number of outlets. In 2007, Walmart, that is Bharat joint venture, EasyJay 9, okay, 9 number of outlets in India. Tesco, Tata joint venture, okay, present partner is Tata in India, it is joint venture and which is not having yet outlet, okay, and Carrefour, which is only owned, no partner, and the having one outlet in India. These are again few sectors attracting, the services sector, telecom, construction activities, housing, real estate, and this data is somewhat outdated, but these investment are also now suffered due to this corona pandemic, and now the government of the entire nation are diverting the fund to the medical sector. Okay, though these are some sectors like service sector, telecom sector, construction activities, including roads and highway, computer software, housing, real estate, chemicals, drugs, pharmaceutical power, automobile industry, and metallurgical industries. All these are the sectors. Okay, so which attracts the higher FDI equities. And you can see share of top investing countries in FDI. Okay, Mauritius, Singapore, UK, Japan, USA, Netherlands, Cyprus, Germany, France, UAE. These are some statistical data. Statements on RBI is the officer which some state covered received FDI equity loss from up to 2012. Mumbai, Delhi. These are some, the statements obtained from the RBI regional office which state covered. Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore. Okay, Mumbai covered, state covered, Maharashtra, Dadar, Haveli, New Delhi. So these are some statistics data. Now, the culture of FDI in India, as far as the culture. So in 1991, Foreign Investment Promotion Board (FIPB) was formed. Then in 1996, the Foreign Investment Promotion Council is modified too. And in 1999, Foreign Investment Implementation Authority. Okay. In 2004, it was Investment Commission. In Project Approval Board. In Licensing Committee. Secretariat for Industrial Approval, Investment Promotion and Infrastructure Development Cell. So all these are the culture which is developed by time to time in India. Okay, Foreign Investment Promotional Board to Foreign Investment Promotion Council, then Foreign Investment Implementation Authority, then Investment Commission, then Project Approval Boards, then Licensing Committee, and Secretariat for Industrial Approval, Investment Promotion and Infrastructure Development. Okay. So you can see this graph which is showing the growth of FDI in India, financial year wise FDI and flow. Okay, it is the trend is increasing. The S curve you can see the increasing trend J curve. Okay, just not go in detail of the statistics. Just I want to show you the growth by the FDI in India. So the trend is increasing. It is some was fluctuating between 2009-10 to 10-11, then again it is increasing to 2012 and again increasing. Okay. Now advantages. Looking into the advantages in India, the 30% of products should be sourced from a small industry with infrastructure development investment not exceeding 1 million, that is 5.636 crore. Retail trading through e-commerce will not be permissible for companies invest in retail FDI. Present Indian retail market is around 435 billion and growing at a CAGR of 10 to 12%. Indian retail market is still dominated by the unorganized sector, and FDI in retail is supposed to be create around 1 crore new jobs in the organized sector, but on the flip side will deplete jobs from the unorganized sector. So the major advantage basically is of 30% of products should be sourced from small industries. A lot of job opportunities are there. Okay, and retail trading through e-commerce will not be permissible by companies which has in companies invested in retail FDI. The advantages for FDI in India, again in continuation, Indian retail sector accounts for 22% of the GDP. Foreign retailers can now open their shops in only cities with population more than 1 million, that is 10 lakh, belonging to state and union territories that have acceded to the multi-brand retail in their state. Now, foreign retailers can invest up to 51% in multi-brands retail and 100% in single brand retail. Minimum investment should be $100 million or 535 crores at present exchange rate, and 50% of the amount should be invested in back-end infrastructure facilities like processing, manufacturing, warehousing, logistics, etc. Now, as far as the comparison between the retail sector and FDI is offering, that is capital inflow from the country itself, where FDI is the capital inflow from the overseas. So in retail sector, you can, country itself, you can get the inflow, but in FDI, it is coming from overseas. Increased stress, where is religious stress of the retail business. Okay. Unproductive way response to banking sector, productive way to help banking sectors, neutral towards currency and help towards currency. Quality employment is not existing, where quality employment by assuring to give 10K jobs in coming decade. Okay. So in retail sector, it increases stress, unproductive way to respond banking sector. The currency, the attitude towards currency is neutral, and quality employment is not existing. Okay, helps towards currency in FDI, productive way to help banking sector, releasing stress, quality employment by assuring to give 10K jobs in coming decade. Okay, that is a very plus point. Now retail market share in India, as you can see, okay, which is unorganized, and basically 5% is only organized. You can see the organized and unorganized graph. Okay, where orange color represents the organized way and unorganized way. So this is basically a retail market share in India. Okay. Now, as far as the experts' view in FDI, that is Chief Economic Advisor Raghuram Rajan said, the safest form of financing is through FDI, without any doubt, because it's long term. If you can make more financing through FDI, you are safer, and so to the extent we can open up to FDI, there will be efficiency because there will be more competition in local economy. Okay, we have to be careful that we are not overtly dependent on external investor. That is an environment where the external investor is quite fickle. That is the expert views, Mr. Former the Chief Economic Advisor, Mr. Raghuram Rajan. Okay. You can see the comparison of India and China organized retail market structure, where more you can see is unorganized, where organized is very, less. See, there are basically a factor that is very much affecting in this investment, that is the politics which is going on the FDI. Okay, who stand where, you can see the for FDI it is very less, but against FDI it is more. Okay, a few pictures I have pasted here, but that is okay. So these things I think we should keep in mind, but not to discuss more on this. So this is basically the politics which is going on the FDI. Okay, for all parties vote is zero, and it is, I think it is more in against case. So it is now we'll see the limitations basically in India. Retail trading accept single brand product in retailing. Lottery businesses including government, private lottery, online lotteries. Gambling and betting including casinos, chit funds, Nidhi company, trading in transferable development rights, real estate businesses or construction of farmhouses, manufacturing of cigars, cheroots, okay, cigarillos and cigarettes, tobacco or tobacco substitutes, activity sectors not open to private sector investment, atomic energy, and railway transport other than mass rapid transport system. These are some limitations which FDI is prohibited in. And as far as the impacts of FDI in India, that is, it creates employment opportunity for domestic country, good relation between two countries, inflow of foreign funds in Indian economy. It creates the competition among the domestic company and MNC. In this way, domestic co can increase their efficiency, creating good capital market in India. Government earns in form of license fees, registration fees, taxes, which is spent for public expenditure. That's a very good point regarding the impact of FDI. Okay. Finally, the last part of this lecture, that is the foreign institutional investment in India. Okay, FII. So we'll see the meaning of FII, the foreign institutional investment, significance, the factor affecting and the diversification of FII. Means I'll say FII means foreign institutional investment in India. Okay. So again we'll see growth, advantages, limitation, and impact. Okay. So what is FII? Foreign institutional investment. So FII denotes all those investor or investment companies that are not located within the territory of the country in which they are investing. SEBI is definition of FII presently includes foreign pension funds, mutual funds, charitable endorsement, university funds, as well as assets management companies and other money managers operating on their behalf. The foreign institutional investment FII means an entity established or incorporated outside India which proposes to make investment in India and which is registered as FII accordance with the SEBI FII in bracket regulation 1995. That is the meaning of FII, which is established in 1995 and which basically a firm established and incorporated outside the India which proposes to make investment in the India. Okay. So what are the foreign investors looking for? They are looking for good projects, demand potential, revenue potential, stable policy environment, political commitment, commitment risk allocation, and framework. These are the foreign investors looking for. Now advantages. Okay, if you come with the advantages, then FII can individually purchase up to 10% and collectively up to 24% of the paid up share capital of the Indian company. The limit of 24% can be increased to sectorial gaps, statutory limits applicable to the Indian company by passing a board resolution or shareholder resolution. FII can purchase share through open offers, private placement, stock exchange. Share purchased by FII through stock exchange cannot be sold through a private arrangements. Proprietary funds, foreign individuals and foreign corporates can register as a sub-account and invest through the FII. Separate limit of 10%, 5% is available for the sub-accounts. FII can raise money through participatory notes or offshore derivative instruments for investment in the underlying Indian securities. And FII is an addition to investment under the FII route can invest under FDI routes. Okay. It enhances the flow of equity capital. That is the major advantage of FII. Okay. FII have a greater appetite for equity than debit in their asset structure in improving capital structure, managing uncertainty and controlling risk. FII inflows help in financial innovation and development of hedging instruments, and also it improves the capital market. As the professional body of asset managers and financial analysts enhance competition and efficiency in the financial market. Equity market development aids economic development by increasing the availability of risk long-term capital for projects and increasing firms incentives for providing more information about their operations. So FII can help in the process of economic development, improve corporate governance. FII also constitute professional bodies and improve corporate governance. And the major disadvantage is the inflation. Then what is inflation? We have even seen in the previous video. Okay. And in that the prices are increased. Okay. In the last lecture we have last to previous we have also seen inflation. The problem for small investor, adverse impact on exports and hot money. That is the main disadvantages. Okay. Again, on its behalf, shall not invest in equity more than 10% total issued capital of the Indian economy. Investment on behalf of each sub-account shall not exceed 10% of total issued capital of the Indian company. For the sub-account registered under foreign companies, individual category, the investment limit is fixed at 5% of issued capital. Basically, it's a very big limitation of it. These limits are within overall limit of 24 to 49% or the sectorial caps as prescribed by Government of India, so Reserve Bank of India. Okay. And limitations on debit investment of that. So for FII investment, the government debit currently following limits are applicable. 100% on debit route, that is 1.55 billion, 70 to 30 route, and total limit is of 1.75 billion. For corporate debit, the investment limit is fixed at US 500 billion. Seen the investment limits on the debit investment by FII, okay, and the prohibitions on the investment, okay. So business of chit fund and nidhi companies, that is the prohibition, agricultural and plantation activities, real estate business or construction of farmhouses. Real estate business does not include development of township, construction of residential, commercial premises, roads and bridges, trading in transferable redevelopment rights. Okay, that are the prohibitions for investment in FII. Okay, now we'll see how it make impact in the economy, Indian economy. So FII leads to appropriation of the currency. It needs to maintain an account with RBI flow from all transaction. To understand the implication of FII on the exchange rate, we have to understand how the value of one currency appropriate or depreciate against the other country. In terms of exports, if our Indian currency appreciate just because of FII net inflow basically, so there is adverse effect on the export. Our export industry will become uncompetitive due to appreciation of rupees. Okay. And as far as stock market, when caps on FII is high, then they can bring a lot of funds in the country in stock market. And again, I have recently said that inflation, okay, then huge amount of FII fund flow creates a huge demand for Indian rupees. In that situation, RBI print more money in market. This situation could lead to exceed liquidity, therefore leading to the inflation. Okay. So finally, we'll now compare the foreign direct investment and the foreign institutional investment. So basically, FDI is a long-term investment where it is generally short-term investment. So FDI invested in physical assets, it is in financial assets. FDI aims to increase enterprise productivity, enterprise capacity or productivity for exchange management control, where it aims to increase capital availability, FDI leads to technology transfer assets to marks and the management inputs where it flows to the capital inflows only. FDI flows into primary market. It is FII. It is in the secondary market where entry and exits is relatively difficult, where it is entry and exit is very easy. FDI is eligible for profit of the company, or it is not eligible for profit gain. It does not tend to be speculative. It is tend to be speculative. And FDI had direct impact on employment, labor, and wages. It is having no directly impact on employment, labor, and wages, and direct impact on the abiding interest management. It is the fleeting impact and management. So this is the difference between FDI, that is foreign direct investment, and foreign institutional investment. Okay, so now I will end up with this foreign direct investment with the French philosopher Romain Donald, that if there is one place on the face of this earth where all the dreams of living men have found a home, when a man began at the dream of existence, it is India. All right, so students, I hope you have understood the entire concepts, the difference of foreign direct investment and foreign institutional investment, then all these terms, criterias, benefits, adverse effect, impact on the Indian economy. And regarding this, only the starting portion is applicable for our syllabus. Few things are additional, but as far as the MCQ examination is concerned, I have covered all the points. And dear students, I hope you understood this. Okay, and thank you very much for patient listening. And we'll again meet with the another lecture. Okay, thank you very much.